There was a time when a truck was a truck. Man's best mechanical friend. A pal to help carry the burden. Or give you a lift when you're feeling down. Those vehicles could do everything. Or so we thought. There's a new breed of extreme trucks. And they know plenty of tricks. They can roll over, play fetch, even sniff out criminals. And they're begging for some attention. Like this one. Its body is made of high tensile strength steel, similar to armor plating. Its high-tech electronic equipment includes exterior cameras and video monitors. Its movements are tracked by GPS. And it even sports a robotic arm with joystick control. No, it's not a James Bond car. It's the Auto Reach by McNeilus Incorporated, an extreme garbage truck. A vehicle designed for your typical stop and throw traffic.
On the average, an automated collection truck like this will pick up anywhere between 1,000 and 1,500 homes a day. The average manual collection truck will only be able to average 300 to 400 homes a day.
The muscle behind the machine's efficiency is its articulated arm. It can reach out 9.5 feet, grab the garbage, and curl a can weighing up to 2,000 pounds. Try curling 2,000 pounds 1,500 times in a day. This arm never gets tired. Neither does its operator. Rear-loading garbage trucks used to require guys riding on the back to throw refuse in the rear. Now the articulated arm does all the heavy lifting. It also has an 8-foot side-to-side swing, allowing it to reach around obstacles, like a mailbox, or the car of the space cadet who parks on the street during collection day. The Auto Reach is manufactured in Dodge Center, Minnesota, at the McNeilus factory.
And what we're doing in this area is attaching the arm itself to the chassis. This thing is all run hydraulically. The engine hooks up to the hydraulic pump, which gives it the pressure to run through the valve, and then the valve just diverts the flow to the different functions with the hydraulic cylinders to make the arm function.
Inside the truck, the operator has joystick control similar to the average video game controller, so it's very simple for most people to learn. When you move the joystick out, the arm goes out. When you move the joystick in, the arm comes in. Hold the joystick back, the arm comes up. Push it forward, the arm comes down. The toggle switch where my thumb moves opens and closes the grabber. When you're done, bring the arm in, tuck it, and drive to the next can.
Our all-can grabber is designed so that it can pick up various can shapes and sizes. It's a fine line between crushing the can and grabbing it with enough force so that as it brings it up to unload the refuse, it doesn't drop it into the hopper.
It took almost 100 years for motorized garbage trucks to get this extreme. The first garbage trucks were simply open dump trucks. But by 1915, the first specially built covered body trucks were introduced in Europe in an effort to keep rodents out and odors in. However, the early bodies were difficult to load, as garbage had to be lifted above shoulder level to dump. In 1929, refuse collectors got a helping hand when Heil built this Collecto body, one of the first with an external hopper design. The concept utilized a small hopper, which was more easily loaded because it was filled at waist level. When full, a cable-driven lifting mechanism powered by the truck's power takeoff hoisted the hopper and dumped it into the top of the body. A door on top automatically opened and closed to keep odors from escaping. The Dempster brothers later popularized a variation of the hopper design, the front-end loader, It used hydraulic arms to lift and dump. A dumpster. In 1938, Garwood Industries put real pressure on the refuse business when they introduced their load packer body, believed to be the first truck with a hydraulic compactor. The rear-loaded truck used hydraulic cylinders to force a pair of panels forward, compacting the trash. The truck could hold roughly 5 tons of compacted garbage, a vast improvement which would revolutionize the industry. The compactor on the auto reach makes those first vehicles seem like toys.
The body has a hopper that holds approximately 5 cubic yards of garbage. In that hopper, we have a packing mechanism that has 2 hydraulically actuated cylinders. Once the body is filled with garbage, the compaction starts to take place and the garbage is now packing against the other garbage, thus creating the compaction ratio of 5 to 1.
The compactor crushes its pungent payload under 80,000 pounds per square inch of pressure. The 28 cubic yard body can hold about 12 tons of compacted garbage.
The inside of the garbage truck is one of the worst environments we've ever seen. You've got all the material that's packed inside the body under some pretty extreme pressures.
High tensile strength steel is used to make the truck tougher than the materials going into it.
What we've got coming in here is different widths of the steel, different grades of the steel. Anything from a regular grade 50 material, which is a 50,000 tensile steel, up to like this material that you see here is 190,000 pound. Similar to like an armor plate, it's a very, very tough, durable steel that we use in the sides of our garbage trucks.
As the body is being built, the electronics are also tested, including the video system.
I'm in the back of the truck standing in front of a camera that's showing you the image of me in the cab of the chassis. From there, the operator of this body can see exactly what's behind them.
And headquarters can see where the truck is thanks to GPS transmitters. Oshkosh, parent company of McNeilus, is working on a hybrid diesel-electric refuse truck, which is expected to get 40% better gas mileage than current models. With 136,000 garbage trucks on the road today, traveling 25,000 miles a year on average, it could mean a savings of 470 million gallons of fuel a year. Oh, they'll also be a lot quieter. Great for those early morning pickups. Reduced emissions, better gas mileage, quieter operation. It'll be a real slam dunk. Over 40% of garbage trucks on the road today are more than 10 years old and get less than 3 miles to the gallon. Extreme Trucks will return on Modern Marvels. Think of this one extreme vehicle as the Swiss Army knife of trucks. It's one of the most versatile vehicles in the world, combining the implement attachments of a tractor and the speed and comfort of a truck. It's the German-engineered Unimog.
Unimog is a contraction of the German Universal Motorgerät, which means universal motor tool. It's the name that's been in place since the vehicle was first put into production in the early 1950s.
The Unimog is a 4-wheel drive vehicle with dozens of attachments, which simply bolt on. The same vehicle can be converted from a mower to a street sweeper, to a tree trimmer, to a snowblower.
The Unimog has a colorful history. The first sketches of the early Unimogs date back to December of 1945. And the gentleman credited with the concept and the idea of a highly mobile implement carrier is a gentleman named Albert Friedrich, who was an aerospace engineer for Daimler-Benz at the time. And he saw the need that to feed the population in post-war Europe, they needed equipment to plow the fields, harvest the crops, and take care of all the jobs and necessities in feeding the population.
But before the Unimog could be put into production, Friedrich had to convince the occupying forces the four-wheel drive truck wouldn't be used as a military vehicle. After much debate, he was granted a manufacturing permit in November 1945. In less than a year, engineers took the rough sketches of a fellow engineer and built the first Unimog chassis. Even the early models of this unique hybrid truck and tractor had implement attachment points, as well as power takeoffs to run equipment. German farmers loved the multifunctional vehicle.
They would do everything from plowing the fields to harvesting vegetables to running all the implements farmers run, and then on Sundays they could take the vehicle to church.
Even the wheel spacing was designed with farmers in mind. The width between wheels corresponded to the space between two rows of potatoes. But farmers weren't the only ones interested. The Unimog became popular for fighting fires, road maintenance, moving snow, moving lumber, or moving whatever. Large-scale production began in 1950 at the Daimler-Benz plant in Germany. Since then, the company sold 320,000 vehicles in 180 countries. Some of Daimler Chrysler's biggest clients are municipalities that have different seasonal needs. Instead of buying several special purpose machines, they can buy an all-in-one tool. Because the Unimog has been around so long, there's plenty of implements available. This front-mounted mowing platform senses obstacles and automatically mows around them. The articulated boom has a 23-foot reach. At the end of the day, the boom folds up neatly and is ready for highway travel. In the winter, simply snap on a snowplow attachment.
Here we have a U500 with a Schmidt snowblower. This particular implement is using two of the Unimog's output power options. First, we're driving the main rotor via shaft from the output PTO in the front of the engine. Secondly, we can control all the movements to the snowblower with an onboard hydraulic system. This controls the left, right, and up and down on the snowblower.
Like a tractor, the Unimog has a power takeoff, or PTO. Which transfers power from the engine to the implement via a spinning shaft. The Unimog can have up to 3 PTOs. Also like a tractor, the Unimog has a hydraulic system to operate backhoes, front-end loaders, man lifts, cranes, and other hydraulic equipment. Both hydraulic and PTO-driven implements are made for quick attach, detach. But unlike a tractor, the Unimog can zip to a site at 70 miles per hour, then go off-road if necessary.
One of the strengths of the Unimog is its ability to get into very difficult terrain. The Unimog has a minimum 18 inches of ground clearance, so you can go over obstacles. It's also equipped with full-time four-wheel drive with both axle and interaxle differential locks, so you can get power to all four wheels. The vehicle's capable of climbing better than a 70% grade. It'll take a 38-degree side slope, which, if you think about 38 degrees, you're kind of in the vehicle at a pretty severe angle. The truck has a very low center of gravity. The engine is mounted low in the frame. Transmission is remote mounted, also very low.
Driving the Unimog is actually quite simple. It's much like any other vehicle. You have a 3-pedal system where you have a clutch, gas, and a brake. Range speed varies from 340 feet per hour to 70 miles an hour. It's all how you have it geared. You can have different gear options from the factory.
And in case you want to take your Unimog for a spin in England,
Variable pilot allows the driver to operate the vehicle from either the right side or the left-hand side of the vehicle. You simply remove the access panel. Push the release button and lift the latch, which brings the pedals up off the floor. Slide the steering wheel over and latch it back down. Replace the access panel and you're ready to go again.
with the ability to mow, lift, push, pull, cut, spray, sweep, grind, haul, and scoop. There's not many things the Unimog and its implements can't do. The only thing this Swiss Army knife of trucks is missing is a corkscrew. Okay, it's got everything. (10:06 a.m., Baltimore, Maryland.
7-11.
The Baltimore Organized Crime Division Technical Assistance Response Unit is called into action. They race to the scene in their own extreme truck, a state-of-the-art mobile command center.
Truck's going out to a barricade for a person who run into a house, possibility of a hostage inside. We're going to assist TAC as an off-site command post by having the truck there. They don't have to go to other locations for faxes or video or lighting, camera, anything of that nature.
The truck arrives minutes later, as does the quick response team of the tactical unit.
I've set it up right here because the scene's right around the corner, okay? We don't want to get much closer to this.
That's where you want to sit?
Yeah.
This incident is a home break-in gone bad. The perpetrator was interrupted when a woman and her kids came home and surprised him. Now he's taken them hostage, and it's up to the negotiator to try to talk him into giving them up.
It's about 2 doors in. Just look, that open door. You see the SWAT guys right there.
Routinely, we get called out on these situations for hostage negotiations. Also to provide perimeter video surveillance through the helicopter that's flying above us now.
In less than 10 minutes, the truck's up and running. Detective Craig deploys the truck's 2 telescoping communication masts. One that can extend to 58 feet, the other to 52 feet, can transmit and receive microwave signals. On top are 2 remote video cameras, peering over the building which is providing cover. And relay the helicopter footage or truck footage back to police headquarters. Thanks to 2 10,000-watt electric generators, the truck is completely self-sufficient.
This extreme truck is basically a portable police station / TV station.
While the tactical team prepares to enter the building, the negotiator continues to talk with the suspect. It's been several hours since the situation began. If it drags into the night, the mobile command center will be ready.
Another important feature to this truck is we have what we call stadium lighting. The arm has 4 very high-powered halogen lights. The arm will raise up and turn. So if we want to light this whole block up, we just raise it, fire it up.
Suddenly, some movement. Tactical moves in.
When you're on the truck, can you have one for the Lakewood? That's where we're going to stay, okay?
Finally, someone exits the building. Today, no one gets hurt.
The hostage negotiators were able to talk the perpetrator out. He released the 2 children and the woman first, and then he came out, was handcuffed and taken away.
This was just another day for the Baltimore Technical Assistance Response Unit. The truck is deployed an average of 4 times a week. Trucks like this are the latest high-tech tools for homeland defense, narcotic raids, hostage situations, and event security.
This is the Baltimore City Police Mobile Command Center. In this area, this is where we do our surveillance and radio communications. With this, you can control the cameras on top of the truck. You can zoom in and out, get different angles of the picture, and he's controlling that basically by the mouse of the computer.
The police also have cameras on various buildings and several street corners throughout Baltimore. The truck can control those cameras and download the feed.
So we can sit here at this location and watch what's going on, you know, across town or a couple of miles away.
This truck is loaded with electronics, satellite TV, multiple landline, cell, and satellite phones, and 8 TV monitors, among other things.
Right here is the conference room of the mobile command truck. The video that we're watching up front, we can also put into this screen, which is 42-inch plasma TV.
This extreme command truck is equipped with the latest communication technology. But its roots date back more than 75 years. Understanding a quicker response time equaled more criminals apprehended. The Detroit police installed the nation's first one-way voice-based car radios in 1928. A car could receive a call, but had to pull over and telephone a response back to headquarters. Despite the inconvenience, it dramatically improved efficiency. Then in 1933, officers got the ability to talk back when the Bayonne, New Jersey Police Department installed the first two-way police car radios.
Police headquarters, Bayonne, calling all cars.
Okay, number 3.
The system was credited for 1 arrest in every 10 calls. The obvious benefits prompted other departments to install radio equipment in their cars. Throughout the 20th century, police departments have looked for better ways of collecting and disseminating information.
Mobile command centers have evolved out of necessity over about the last 20, 30 years. Sometime back, law enforcement agencies started operating out of Suburbans or the backs of pickup trucks, and they had some radio equipment there, and that brought some centralization to a specific scene or an incident. In the last 15 years, people began to build these mobile command centers from the ground up.
This mobile command center is the product of the Allied Defense Group and LDV Incorporated of Burlington, Wisconsin. Manufacturer of SWAT, Bomb Squad, Hazmat, Crime Scene Investigation, and other specialty trucks. LDV starts with an empty shell when building a mobile command center.
At the metal fabrication shop, we cut the holes in the body. We install the compartments, the observation decks, any kind of catwalk. After that, we'll install the generator and the leveling systems on the vehicle.
Next comes the wiring.
We literally put miles of wiring into this truck, and it's all to support the systems that are integrated into it. And it can either be 12 volt, it can be 110 volt AC, it can be computer network or phone cable.
LDV installs custom-built cabinets to house electronics.
This particular cabinet is what's called the communication cabinet. Inside here you see the cell phones, you see the modular switching system similar to a small business PBX, the amplifier for the external PA system, and the computer network is all routed right here.
The truck can also facilitate communications between various agencies.
There's different types of radios. In layman's terms, they operate on different frequencies, so people on UHF can't talk to people on 800 megahertz radios. And what interoperability systems do, it enables these different radio frequency types to talk to the vehicle, and the vehicle takes and puts them all into basically the same communication system.
In the field, life or death can depend on everything working properly. Back in Baltimore, the Mobile Command Center performed just as it was designed to.
This truck is a prototype. It's been a labor of love put together. It's a working man's truck. This is cutting-edge technology. I was glad the truck was here. Job well done. Absolutely.
LDV installed more than 14,000 pounds of special equipment in the Baltimore Mobile Command Center. Extreme Trucks will return on Modern Marvels, here on the History Channel. Welcome to the world of concrete, the industry's largest annual event, where manufacturers demonstrate the latest products, tools, and applications for, you got it, concrete. Globally, 5 billion cubic yards of the stuff are produced each year. That's enough concrete to, well, it's a lot of concrete. Some of the biggest and most impressive products at the show are the extreme trucks used to transport and place concrete. Mack Trucks, a name synonymous with big vehicles for the past 100 years, is one of the largest chassis manufacturers of ready-mix concrete trucks today.
When building a ready-mix truck, the most important thing to keep in mind is that it has to be lightweight. The lighter the truck, the more weight you can carry. And ready-mix concrete weighs about 4,000 pounds a yard. And the business survives on delivering as many yards of concrete as possible.
Most concrete isn't mixed on site for economic reasons.
When it's delivering ready-mix, the barrel has to always be turning, keeping it from hardening. We use a rear engine PTO connected to the engine, which is driving a pump system. And the pump is going through a transmission, which is turning the ready-mix barrel. Inside that barrel, there's fins. And as the barrel rotates, those fins mix the aggregate and the cement powder and the ash.
Once at the job site, the mixer truck changes the rotation of the barrel and outspurts 10 cubic yards of concrete. The fins inside now act like a corkscrew in reverse.
This truck will discharge ready mix in about 60 seconds, which is very quick.
When finished, the drum is washed out with water to prevent buildup. These trucks make it look easy, but that hasn't always been the case. Alcott turned concrete transportation on its head when he applied for a patent for the first rotating drum truck mixer. Early mixers like Stepanian's design used a revolving cylinder with fins on the inside to mix the batch. Then in 1937, Smith Mixers of Milwaukee revolutionized the business when they introduced the inclined axis drum mixer, similar to today's mixers. Its main benefit was a higher discharge height. The higher the concrete is discharged, the farther from the truck it will flow, saving a lot of manual carting. Over the last 60 years, the introduction of more powerful diesel engines and air brakes enabled trucks to grow bigger, and they can now handle a 40,000-pound payload, or more. Today's mixers are often used to feed even more extreme trucks, concrete pumpers.
Concrete pumper basically is a telescoping boom mounted on a chassis, and it takes concrete from a cement mixer and pumps it to that location.
A pumper is used to precisely place concrete. Mixers unload into the hopper of the pumper. A pumping mechanism forces concrete through pipes, which are connected to the boom. At the end of the boom, there's a length of hose to get concrete exactly where it's wanted. An operator controls the flow of concrete and positioning of the boom with a remote control. These booms can have an enormous reach. Today's longest booms stretch nearly 200 feet. That means a pumper could be parked in front of your house, reach over it, and pour a pool in your backyard. The Mack Mod Center in Macungie, Pennsylvania, builds chassis for various manufacturers of enormous pumpers. The Mod Center is where people come for special orders. This chassis is for Schwing America Incorporated.
They rate them by the length that the boom can reach, and this particular unit will be for a 61 meter, meaning it can go from ground floor up 61 meters. So if you were at the end zone on a football field, you could reach out almost 2/3 the length of that football field and lay concrete.
To accommodate the boom, the Mod Center is adding 15 feet of length and several axles to a standard truck.
As you can see, this is an extremely long truck. As a matter of fact, it has the longest frame that we can physically manufacture today. It is 40 feet long in the basic frame. And on this chassis, we have 3 steer axles. The 3 steer axles are all designed to turn a different amount each. The front turns more than the second turns more than the third, so that all 3 axles will help the vehicle make it around the curve without sliding or scrubbing. In the rear, we have 3 drive axles. Where a normal truck would have 2, this one requires 3. The way we accomplish that, if this would be the 2 normal drive axles, we had an additional one in front of it, which is basically a dupe of this axle and drivetrain up here as well.
The 7th axle is a liftable, steerable tag, which is lowered for highway travel and usually raised once at the worksite. The truck has more axles to distribute the pumper's enormous weight. So if you're keeping track, that's 20 tires. The completed vehicle with boom will weigh around 110,000 pounds, 50% heavier than an average loaded semi. When this particular Mack chassis is finished, it's driven to the Schwing factory in White Bear, Minnesota, where the steel booms and pumper mechanisms are attached. They also install 4 giant legs.
There's 4 outriggers, they're called, and in this particular unit, the 2 in the front will telescope out, and then they have a piston that goes down. They put a large pad on the ground surface to ensure that the unit is perfectly level in all directions, fore and aft and side to side.
At the job site, pumper trucks are double teamed by mixers, unloading one every 2 to 3 minutes. One pumper can place 3,200 tons of concrete per 8-hour day. But it's just another day at work for these trucks which really pour it on and pump it up. The paint on the 61-meter Schwing concrete pumper adds an additional 600 pounds to the weight of the truck. Extreme trucks will return on Modern Marvels. Galena, Kansas. A small town in the Midwest. A friendly place with a population of 2,500. And perhaps a slightly slower pace of life. With one major exception. Galena is the home base of Les Shockley and his 2 jet trucks. Shockwave, a 1984 Peterbilt semi, and Super Shockwave, a 1957 Chevy pickup. screaming down the track at over 300 miles per hour. The trucks thrill fans at air shows and drag racing competitions throughout the United States.
My father always described it as being shot out of a cannon, but I've never been shot out of a cannon. By the end of the run, it's pulling 6.5 Gs. And when we pull a chute, we're experiencing up to 10 Gs negative. 13 Gs, they tell me, will detach your retinas.
It certainly has spectators' eyes popping out. Not too many trucks race an aircraft or dogfight with stunt planes.
You want something that people, when they leave, they're just not going, that's all right. You want them to go, oh my God, and they do too.
Racing the Shockwave jet trucks is a real family affair. Les Shockley is the face behind the Fireball. After years of racing both conventional race cars and jet dragsters, he designed and built his first jet truck, Shockwave, in 1984. In 1996, he turned over full-time racing to his two sons, Kent and Scott. Today, Kent's back with his father at the Shockley shop in Galena to make adjustments for his next show. Meanwhile, Scott's in Mount Vernon, Illinois for the weekend's air show spectacular.
This truck has two afterburning J34-48 jet engines here that we fully modify that come off a Navy T-2A Buckeye jet fighter trainer. The airplane just had a single engine, non-afterburning, and then from right here back is all afterburner. Makes all the power to the truck.
The 57's two jet engines produce 25,000 horsepower. The Peterbilt has three jet engines, producing 36,000 horsepower. That's like the combined horsepower of 48 NASCARs. The Shockleys have been racing jet vehicles since the mid-1970s. But the first jet dragster dates back another 15 years. In 1960, when Walt Arfons fit a Westinghouse J46 jet engine to the back of a dragster, he created the Green Monster number 16. The car was described as a big cart with a jet engine bolted onto its rails. By adding an afterburner, he was able to push the car above 200 miles per hour in the quarter mile, making it the fastest and only jet car in the world. But by the mid-60s, he had company. Several jet dragsters started making the rounds. One of those cars made quite a splash with a 16-year-old Les Shockley and his future wife, Donna.
This guy pulled it to the starting line and revved this thing up, and when he hit the afterburner on this thing, my wife had a snow cone in her hand, slung it over her shoulder right into the face of the guy standing right behind her. And I thought, now those things have a lot of potential, because everybody was just totally blown away by it.
Jet car races and exhibitions continued to blow fans away through the 1960s. And in 1972, Les finally persuaded his wife Donna to let him build a jet dragster of his own. After winning 3 national jet car championships, Les's oldest son Kent suggested turning a full-sized semi into a jet truck. However, at the time, there were other jet trucks racing with single engines, not nearly good enough for Les.
We had the 2 bottom engines sitting in it, and I stood back and I looked at it. The engines barely stick above the tires, and it didn't even look like a jet truck to me. And
I came home from work one day, and Dad had a third engine hoisted hanging from the rafters in the shop.
So I picked it up with a hoist and rolled the truck under it, and I set it up on top, and I looked at it, and I said, no, that looks like a jet truck.
I was like, oh, man, you know, 2 was nuts. Dad really went crazy, and everybody thought, man, Dad just went nuts, you know. 2's nuts, you know. Why would you put 3 on there?
Why not?
In 1991, those 3 engines helped Les reach 376 miles per hour to set a Guinness record for a full-size truck.
Basically, the steering and the brakes of this vehicle operate like an automobile. Everything else about operating the vehicle is like an airplane. We use hand controls, just like an aircraft. This deploys the parachute. This is our AB fuel control here, this lever here. Forward, the fuel's on. Backwards, the fuel's off. These are the 3 throttles. We have a throttle for each engine.
In 1993, the Shockleys decided to build a second jet truck. This time they decided to do something a little retro. A 57 Chevy truck.
The fuel we actually use in this truck is over-the-road diesel. Got 2 saddle tanks, 1 on each side. Each one holds 40 gallons of diesel. This baby sucks the fuel down.
The twin-engine beast swallows 30 gallons of diesel on a 12-second run. Getting the truck to go fast isn't a problem. It's keeping it on the ground that's tricky.
The wings up above, got one back here. This produces, at 300 miles an hour, it produces 3,500 pounds of downforce on the truck. And the one up here, right over the cab, we figure produces 5,000 pounds of downforce on the truck. So if you took these wings off the truck, she would actually try to start flying. Put the wings on it, it's on the ground, and that's where we like to stay.
When Les set the Guinness record of 376 miles per hour, the truck's front end came off the ground, and the tires started coming apart. But just how fast can these jet diesels go?
This will run over 400, but Dad just don't want us to do it right now, and I don't know, I think he just wants to hold on the record a little bit longer, but I'm going after it someday.
Shockwave might be the fastest in our pantheon of extreme trucks. But the others hold their own, in the mud or on the site, collecting or protecting